Good morrow, Internet. The Grizzle Enthusiast TGE here, and we're back with another deck guide for Magic the Gathering. But before we get into the deck guide, I want to ask you guys, please like and subscribe. I've noticed on my analytics that a lot of people are watching the videos, but they're not subscribing. So if you can please just hit that little red button down there and then give me a nice little thumbs up, that would be enjoyable. I'm trying to make this a career or, something that can blossom into something. I work a regular 9 to 5, so getting these videos out is pretty hard, so I would like to do it a little bit more consistently. So if you can do those two things for me, that would be really appreciated. Thanks, folks. So today what we're going to be going over is one of my most favorite, yeah, that's how I'm going to say it, one of my most favorite archetypes and decks that I've made so far, Mardu Aristocrats. Now, for those of you that don't know what Mardu's Aristocrat is, it's basically a deck that centers around sacrificing creatures so you can activate creature abilities, spells, enchantments, etc. So how does the deck function? Like I stated earlier, the deck functions by sacrificing creatures to trigger abilities. And some of the new cards that were released in Strixhaven really help with that. Also with a couple of old ones that I'm going to go over. So some of the abilities we're looking to trigger in this deck are Bastion of Remembrance and Horay. The Ghost Forge. That's who we're looking to trigger. Bastion, if you've all been playing since Ikoria, you're pretty familiar with what Bastion of Remembrance does. Effectively, it has a drain effect of whenever a creature dies, and that includes sacrificing, you're allowed to drain your opponent for 1. And also, when Bastion of Remembrance ETBs, it creates a token, so you can start triggering the effects right away. Bastion puts you in a very interesting situation, as your opponent will not want to constantly recklessly remove your creatures, or else risk damaging themselves and losing the game. Along with Bastion, the Ghost Forge. Yeah, I'm just going to go Ghost Forge at this point. It's one of the new cards that was released out of Strixhaven. It's seen very little play, but I feel that's attributed to the fact that nobody's really found a home for it. I think I did, though, in the Mardu Aristocrats sort of archetype. Because its ability of when one token creature dies, you're allowed to send that card to the... Oh, wait, timeout. The Ghost Forge brings back any creature that was destroyed, so that includes sacrificing. Your opponent doesn't have to destroy it itself. And it comes back as a copy of itself along with the spirit creature type connected to it. So that allows the Ghost Forge to give it a buff of a +1/+1 and give it some nice keywords of trample and haste, which means they make for good blockers and good attackers. And also they have the ability of its tokens. This definitely reinforces the fact that with Bastion on the field, not only would you drain your opponent for 1, but they have to be very careful of not wanting to recycle your creatures for you over and over again. Alright, so we've discussed what the deck wants to do. Said we're going to try to sacrifice creatures as frequently as we can. But I have Woe Strider, Plumb the Forbidden, Village Rites, and oh god, I've gone over this so many times. So Immeasurable Predator. Yeah, that's how we're going to go with that. These cards have effects that trigger upon cards being sacrificed to them. So Woe Strider allows you to scry for 1, so if you see something on the top of your deck, whether it's a land you don't want or a creature that you don't need, you can just send it to the bottom of your deck, and hopefully in your next card draw you'll get something good. Plumb the Forgotten and Village Rites are just card draw. You sacrifice a creature, hopefully you'll have Bastion of Remembrance out so you can drain your opponent for a little bit of damage, and then you can draw 2 cards. Plumb the Forbidden is actually something cool that as many times as you sacrifice a creature, you can copy this ability. Yes, you'll drain yourself, you'll damage yourself for 1, but with the constant fact that you're going to be gaining life from Bastards of Remembrance, it's a very small damage to yourself. And now the Predator. The Predator is one of the big win cons for this deck. Not only for the fact that you can trigger its sacrifice ability at instant speed. The same as Woe Strider, I forgot to mention that. It's instant speed. Upon sacrificing your creature, you can tap the Predator and then exile a creature, which will put a +1/+1 counter on this. But also, since you've tapped it and sacrificed the creature for it, it becomes indestructible, which makes it hard to get over, and your opponent will have to resort to a whole bunch of other options to get over this. We need to support everything we're going to do. As much as everything's pretty great, everything that I've discussed now was a pretty high mana cost on it. What are the creatures we're going to sack to it? We can't just keep putting in Bastion of Remembrance and hoping that's going to be in our casting Road Strider. That's not everything we're looking to do. The sack fodder and everything we're going to be looking to do are with these cards over here. Garrison Cat, Serrated Scorpion, and Claim the Firstborn. Garrison Cat and Serrated Scorpion both have death triggers. When the cat dies, it makes a 1/1 human creature token, which allows it to be sacrificed for Bastion, Woe Strider, or Predator, depending on what you need for the situation. Serrated Scorpion also has a death trigger. Unfortunately, it does not give you a token, but it drains your opponent for 2. So it keeps them on the back foot and gets you a little bit of health so you can keep your combo going if you need. These cards provide great value, especially with the Ghost Forge, as in if either of them dies, let's say the cat were to die, once it comes back as a 2/2 with trample and haste, and the fact that you already have a human token out means you basically went +2 in that exchange, whether you sacrifice the cat for card draw or to enable any of the abilities, or you just use it to block. The deck does not have traditional removal. What I usually run for traditional removal in black is Heartless Act, Eliminate. If you saw my Golgari deck profile, you'll see that I was a big proponent of Heartless Act and Mortality Spare. However, we're not running Greed in here. But what I did choose to use is Claim the Firstborn. Claim the Firstborn really works as that good early game removal, especially against aggro decks or any deck that needs that 2-drop for its center comma to go off. What it is, you can take it, attack with it, and then sack it for any of your aristocrat triggers. So the Predator, Road Strider, or if you just need some card draw, it puts your opponent at a disadvantage, gives you card draw, gives you value on your creatures, and puts your opponent really back on the back burner. Yes, it does not take care of all the cards that you're going to come up against in every matchup, but what strategy doesn't have a little bit of a hindrance? That's what makes the game fun, right? Right? Mainly my personal tech picks for the deck, things that I decide that I want to put in because I want to make them work. And the 2 tech picks that I've chosen to put in here are Kaya, the Exorbora, I swear I've passed English, I swear to God. Exonerable, yes, and Venerable Warslinger. Yeah, that's right. Perfect. Yeah, got that one. I like Warslinger. It looks pretty cool. Just look at that thing. It's just like a big statuesque. Anyway, I digress. Oh, I love Kaya too. I'm going to get distracted. Kaya's +1 ability allows you to put a ghost counter on any non-token creature that you control. And when it dies, the triggers to go off of, not only will you get this creature back, but you also get a 1/1 flying spirit creature. So if you also have the Ghost Forge out there, that creature becomes a 2/2 with flying, trample, and haste. That's immediate damage on the board and also makes for a pretty good blocker. Kai's -2 ability lets you exile any permanent on the field. So if you have an enchantment that you're worried about, there's an artifact, there's a creature that's giving you some issues, once it's exiled, the threat becomes a lot less prevalent for the fact that a lot of things don't have return from exile. And that makes it a lot easier for you to come in and just make your opponent cry. Warslinger is a great card. Not only does it have 2 good keywords in trample and vigilance, it also has a pretty good body on it, being a 3/3, so 3 mana for 3/3. That's all seems very nice and good. But what's the real good thing is its ability. The ability of Warslinger is any combat damage that it does to your opponent, you're allowed to bring back a creature card from your graveyard with the amount of damage that you cause. So let's say you were to get in for 3 damage, you're allowed to bring back a creature card from your graveyard that has a 3 converted mana cost. Tremble actually really works on this guy for the fact that, or girl, I think it's non-binary. Yeah, it's a spirit. It's non-binary. It's a statue. Yeah, what am I talking about? Anyway, let's say the trample ability on it actually comes in handy a lot for the fact that if your opponent can't block all the damage, it'll still get it for at least 1. That's why we're running Garrison Cat or Serrated Scorpion in the deck, because those cards are always likely going to be able to come back for you. As long as you're able to get in just for that 1 damage, you're going to get back your 1-drops, which will help you keep recycling for the effect of Ghost Forge, for you to sacrifice for Road Strider, for the Predator, for a card draw, whatever you need to get this deck to keep going. And that's my deck guide. Currently, my deck is running at a 83% win rate, which is amazing. Yes, it's only been around for like a little bit just because I've really just added the Ghost Forge and Warslinger to it, but ever since then, it's been on a pretty good win streak. I attribute this high win rate to the fact that it's very versatile going up against a lot of decks. Aggro and mid range have a hard time dealing with the constant life gain and the constant resurrection of the creatures. Along with control decks, they are able to remove you, but also you're using the drain mechanic to drain them of their life. Most control decks have some sort of life gain, but the fact that they're not making any sort of headway on you allows you to just keep draining, and then allows you to keep putting your creatures on the board and slapping over them consistently over and over and over again. Especially if you're able to get the Ghost Forge out and get these constant spirits out to keep ramming in them with the haste, control players are going to have a really hard time dealing with you. However, the deck is not invincible. It can be outpaced if your opponent is running a lot of fast creatures on there and don't have enough sack outlets to get to there or enough defenders to work with. You will be overrun and overtaken, which is something hard. Trample is also something that this deck has a hard time dealing with. A lot of the creatures we're dealing with are very low toughness. So anything with trample, anything that says creatures with power 2 or less can't block, it's going to be really hard to get over. So I would recommend putting in the sideboard some really hardcore moves. So eliminate Heartless Axe, extinction events, whatever you need to make sure that you're able to get action, not extinction, right? Because you want to make sure you destroy your cards. Since you're in white, you should go with board wipes. So I'm going to change that for Doomscar or Shatter the Sky as long as they're still allowed in standard. So just please be aware of those facts before you start running this deck, and don't come back to me with comments of your deck didn't work. I told you, I gave you fair warning, and this is your warning. And that's it for me. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe, and also put a comment down there if you tried the deck, how it worked out for you. If you made any different tech choices than me, just let me know. I may want to try them myself, and let's see how far we can get with this little concept. Also, please follow me on Twitter. I post some pretty funny stuff on there. I guess I'm sort of hilarious, maybe. So no matter where you're at in the world, I hope you're just being safe and continue to be awesome. Later, folks.